And as a really excellent blogger, of course. He's a self-employed internet consultant, and he freely admits that he's often referred to as the UK search guru. One section of his website must send cold shivers down spines in the Googleplex in California, because it's called Searching Without Google. But now, of course, Phil's much better known even as this year's Vice President of CILIP. So a warm welcome, Phil. You have, as I said before, this rather strange title. I'm not sure when you're going to explain it to us, and I may get the pronunciation wrong. Wibbly, Wobbly, Wimey stuff, staff development outside the TARDIS. Phil Bradley.
Thanks very much. This is a serious conference. You are all serious people. I'm a serious speaker. Mandy, wherever Mandy happens to be, is a serious conference organiser, and she asked me for a list of potential titles for my talk, so I gave her a list of very potential, but admittedly dull titles. And I'd just been watching Doctor Who, and I should say right at the start, if any of you don't like Doctor Who, or you don't watch Doctor Who, I'm really, really sorry. And I just watched an episode of Doctor Who, and there was a really funny sort of line in there, which indicated sort of just like this amorphous mass of something that you really couldn't explain desperately well, but it was there, and it was just like everybody was involved with it. So I threw that in, just as a joke. It was a joke. She then got back to me and said, I really like that. We'll go with Wibbly, Wobbly, Timey, Wimey stuff. Which I thought was very funny at the time, and most amusing, and then I realised that I would then have to write a presentation that was based around the idea and the concept of Doctor Who. So what I decided to do was look at my top 11 social media resources that I really think should be used by every library and information service that's out there, and ways in which you can use that to promote what it is that you're doing, promote yourselves, promote your libraries, and then try and match that to the various different doctors. So that's what I've attempted to do. Sometimes it's worked really well, sometimes it hasn't worked very well, but I apologise in advance if any of them are a bit sort of shoehorned in. I'm not going to go through each one of these in great detail. You know, the last thing that I like doing is reading from slides, so I'll let a lot of this stuff just, you know, you can read it while I'm chatting on about whatever it is that I'm chatting on about. But as you can see, that I did think there's actually quite a lot that librarians are similar with Doctor Who in. For me, that very last one, they're trusted and powerful. Yeah, that's what we are. That's what we do. That's the value of us. And it's one of the things that, when people say, why did you want to be a librarian? My response is never because I like books. It's because I wanted the power. And I think we all have that power. We need to embrace that power, and we need to stop being frightened of it. We need to be getting out there and doing this kind of stuff. So then I thought, well, how are libraries like the TARDIS? And it was really easy to do that one. The other one I'm concerned about there, again, it's the very last one there, that, you know, the TARDIS just kind of vanishes, and I'm really concerned that libraries are going to do that. The one that I didn't put up there, because it's very difficult to do that, is when you start talking about the fact that libraries may well disappear. Librarians tend to get really hot under the collar, and then make the sound that the TARDIS does when it disappears. So, okay, that works well for me. I'll go with that. So I wanted to start, you know, as I said, I'll go through each doctor in turn. Not going to read through them. I'm just going to go, you know, straight to the most important points I feel there. Home start pages. They've been around for a very long time now. They're extremely reliable. They're the one thing that, you know, if I had to just say I can only have one thing, the thing that starts it all off for me, as we have with William Hartnell, is home start pages. What comes up when you turn your browser on? There are a lot of these that are out there. You can set up your own bookmarks, you can set up your own search engines, you can have RSS feeds, you can have all of that information coming in. It's a good way that you've got of collating all of your data together. And if you were sharp-eyed, that very first slide that I had wasn't philb.com, which is my website, which is what I used to say people go to. It's netvibes.com/philbradley, because when you go there, you see a collection of everything that I'm doing all in one place. And I've got loads of stuff on my site. These things are really simple, very easy to set up. And the thing that's really most interesting about that is not only can you have private material so that you've got all of that coming in so that you're more effective, you can also have a public-facing site. So if you go to netvibes.com/PhilBradley, you'll see that. You'll see a link to my website. You can see the things that I've done, my presentations. You can see links through to my weblog. You can see links through to my YouTube videos or the things that I'm tweeting about. It's very easy for me to collate all of the data into one place and then throw it out there for everybody else. Now, the reason that libraries need to be involved with that, and there's a bit more, there's an awful lot there, is that it's an opportunity for you to create your own resource on the net, directly yourself, instantaneously. If you make a change, that change is there live immediately. If you think how difficult it may be to change something on your existing website, you can ignore all of that. If you are concerned about how long it takes you to get a change that you want onto the website, this is just going to do it for you. You have control over what it is that you want to create. You can add in more tabs as you need to. You can have different subject areas as you need to. It's all entirely up to you. You can create your own resource on the net. And you can make it as active and as dynamic, and you can change it whenever you want to. And it's a way that you've got of getting out there to a much wider audience. And lots of people are doing this. This is one of the places that I now tend to look. I will see, is there a library out there? Have they got a NetVibes page? Have they got a start page? Because that tells me something about them, that they know what they are doing, what they're involved with, the way that they're getting outside. So it's a very useful resource. There's lots of them. Defining our professional future. CILIP, so CILIP's doing them. University of Liverpool. Chronicle of Higher Education, Open University. They've all got these little widgets or applications that can be used. This is a great way that all of those organisations have got of moving out so that other people can see what it is that they are doing. We don't need to go to the websites. Websites are becoming increasingly less important than they have been in the past. If your entire web presence is based on the website that you've got, I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong. You need to be embracing the social media. Now, the people involved in your organisations, the ones that are up there, won't understand this, so it's your responsibility to actually go to them and say, you're getting it wrong. We've got to think about doing different things. Second doctor, he's generally regarded as the cosmic Herbie. He wandered around the universe an awful lot, going from one place to another. And that's what we all do in our jobs, is we find all these really interesting, useful resources, and that's generally where they just stay, they just stop at that point. A really good way that we've got of moving out beyond our own little sphere, beyond our own little TARDIS, is to start making use of the bookmarking services that are available. So, you can use something like Delicious. You can also use Delicious as a search engine to see what other people are adding to their own bookmarks. I very often will go and try and find an individual or an organisation to see what it is that they think is important enough to bookmark. I have my own network on there, and it's very easy for me, if I find things that other people are interested in, to say, oh, go off and have a look at that, and people will do the same thing for me. Whenever I find anything on the net that I like, I will bookmark them. Those bookmarks then get updated on my website. And it's really easy for me if I've got a page on Twitter. If I find a book, something I want to bookmark about Twitter, I can add a hashtag, and the little scripting that I've got automatically updates that page for me. So not only am I getting outside and I'm making all of that information available, being a useful resource, I'm able to use it to update the material that I've got on my own existing website, and to use that quickly and effectively. And you get a network of people. And it's really easy for people to see, oh, what is it that they're doing? That's interesting. I'll start to subscribe to their bookmarks and see what they're doing. If you don't like using Delicious, which is my favourite, there are plenty of others. Things like Daigo, for example. And there are a number of groups that are on there based around the concept of bookmarking. These are the kind of places that we now need to be inhabiting. Not just the physical plane in front of us, not just the library. We need to be going to where the conversations are. And those are places that the conversations are now at. We also need to think about the technology, and the third doctor, he had this, he was quite an irate chap. He's sort of my doctor, as it were. He would always have this, listen to me. And so I thought we shoehorning it in a little bit, podcasting. Podcasting is a really easy thing to do, and it's a great way that we have of getting out there. You need to have a little video, a voice recorder. You need to have free software. You record what you want to say, or if you've got a microphone on your system, you record what you want to say. You then put it up online and you make it available for other people to listen to. You have a voice. Use your voice. Let other people subscribe to what it is that you're doing. They don't have to come into the library to listen to you. If you've got somebody coming in and they're doing something interesting, or there's an event that's taking place, podcasting, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. You can do it virtually without waking up. Lots of organisations are podcasting. If you are not podcasting, why not? I simply would not understand why you would not want to do something like that, because it's so easy, so straightforward, so fun, and so powerful. Because it's all right seeing things on the page or on the screen, but when you can hear people's voices and the emotions that they put into it, that's really the way that you've got of getting out and grabbing hold of people and saying, this is something we're doing, we're really interesting, it's really important, come back and listen to us. Longest lived of the doctors in terms of the number of years they were actually doing it was this particular character. And I'm looking at sort of the longest tenure of social media resources, so for that one I chose weblogs. I use my weblogs all of the time. They are the way in which I get out to people. I get more hits, visits to my weblog than I do to my website, and I'm perfectly happy with that. My weblog allows me to have my own voice, and I can say what I want to, and I can update it instantly, and it's indexed virtually instantaneously. So if I'm talking about what's happening in the world now, a weblog is the place to do it. Don't put it onto a website, because that's going to take ages to get updated. If you are looking for current information, you need to be searching blog search engines. Searching websites just doesn't work anymore. It's places like that that you need to be going. And I do all of my current work by searching through, subscribing to people's blogs. That's the way in which I find out who is doing stuff. Those are the ways in which I find my thought leaders that tell me what it is that I need to know. You are all experts in your own areas. You are all thought leaders. And if there's any of you that don't think that you are, then you shouldn't be here. So we can put that one completely on one side. You are powerful people. You are librarians. You know what you are doing. You are information specialists. You are experts in your area. So you should be talking about what it is that you do. You should be having weblog entries. You should be linking to things. You should be having options for chat boxes. You should be embedding video. You should be embedding presentations. You should have links through to Twitter accounts and so on. It's the best way, as far as I'm concerned, of really getting out and having control over the message that you want. One of the things that I find very interesting is that what we need to be looking at now is who controls the medium, who is controlling the message. In the old paradigm, it was your bosses, your HR department, your tech team, because they controlled the website. The website isn't important. What is now important are the social media resources, and somebody needs to control those. Somebody within your organisation needs to be championing what you are doing, and it should not be the technical people, it should be the information professionals, because what it's all about is information, and we're the experts, and you need to be ensuring in your organisations that's what you can do, so that you can do that outreach and really get out to people. Lots that you can do with weblogs. Again, I won't bother to go through all of those. You can read at your leisure should you so desire to. You can take your weblog and you can move it into a variety of different places. I've got my weblog. If you don't want to read my weblog, you can find links through to my weblog from my homepage. You can use my weblog from an RSS reader or whatever it is that you would like to. It's another way that you've got of getting out there, because data is portable. It doesn't have to be in one place as it used to be. You can shift it into a lot of different places. You can allow people to take what it is that you are saying and repackage it and push it on somewhere else. They will then start to promote you as a thought leader, as an expert in your own area. You'll then be able to go to Google, and you can go to Google blog search, and you should be doing searches like that, and you should be seeing whose weblogs come up towards the top of the list there. For different subject areas, and you should be subscribing to those. You should be using those as a search resource, and ideally what you want to be able to do there is to pull up stuff that you have been talking about quite recently, because that's the way in which people are now looking. They're not interested in stuff that was written days or weeks ago. They want to know what's happening now. We have now got down to a publishing cycle of about 1 second with Twitter. It used to be weeks, months when we were doing the books. Going back to basics, this particular doctor spent a lot of time guiding. He had quite a lot of assistants who would guide those assistants. And what I thought that I would do with that one is to talk about different guiding tools that are out there. One of the things that people will come to you for, as you all know, at least as much as I do, probably more, is they want to know what are the best sites for something. Or you've got school children that come in and they need to be given some advice and guidance on where to go. And this is one of the things that I think that the information profession is really good at, and we need to start embracing the resources that will let us do that. So something like Trailfire, for example, allows us to create our own trails around the internet. You as an expert can decide what are your key resources and you can make them available. And when somebody comes in and says, have you got anything on Islamic architecture? You can say, yes, you can go here, and I've got all of the really good sites in the world about them, and I know that because I'm a specialist. I am a professional. If you want to search like a professional, if you want to find information like a professional, ask a professional. You are professionals. This is what you can do. If you don't like that one, you could use something like Pearl Trees, which is sort of like a mind mapping resource. But nonetheless, it still pushes people out and they go to different places. If you don't like that, use something like Jog the Web, which allows you to have links through to lots of different resources. You can describe what it is that you want to say. You can create these for yourselves. You can get them out there. They will get picked up by search engines. People will then see what it is that you're doing, who you are, what your library is, and they will want to discover more about you. And you can put links into your other resources on these jogs or trails or whatever it is that you would like to. And if you don't like that, you've got live binders. If you don't like live binders, you've got museum books. There are lots and lots of these different guiding tools that are out there. The next doctor that we've got, he was really verbose. I mean, he's probably the classic librarianship doctor because he likes cats. And most, but not all librarian type people do like cats, but most do. He's really keen into the whole communicating, messaging kind of thing. So I thought for that one, all of the resources, the Ask a Librarian resources. Why should you stop your access to users at the front door? There are plenty of people out there that need access to you in a variety of different places because they're housebound, because they can't get into you, because they do night shift work, or because they're just too far away. There are plenty of resources out there that you can make use of. A number of different chat facilities and resources are available. You can install these, they're all browser driven, there's no security implications per se, and it's a way that you've got of getting out to people, and it's one of the things that I do like. If I can do, I will say to people, don't send me email, just get hold of me in a chat box and we can talk through what it is that we want to do, because it's a much more effective way of working. The next doctor, and this is sort of where I completely dropped out of the whole Doctor Who thing, so I've got no real particular idea on this guy, but he doesn't seem to have been that much fun. He's quite layered, secretive and so on. And for that I thought, well, you can use Wikis. You can collate your own content if you want to create your own website and get that material out there for people to use, and you want to control it, and you want to work with other professionals in other areas. Using a wiki is a great way of doing that. There are lots of them that are available for us, and even if you don't want to create your own, you should be using these to search from. So Library Success, List Wiki, Library Instruction Wiki, all of these resources are out there. Again, one of the things that I do when I'm searching, and I would suggest that you should be doing as well, is you want to be looking for wikis that are in the areas that are of interest to you. And if there isn't one out there, then start one, because that's the place that people will go. You will then find people that want to get involved with that, and you can then start to use them and get them to become collaborators with you and to produce resources. And it's something that you can do with a whole bunch of other people that doesn't require much work. The next one, Paul McGann, he just did the one-off. Quick movie, and that was it, something to be seen again. There's lots of one-trick ponies, so I couldn't really cram in 11, so I used this as an example to put in a few more. And these are just fun things that's worthwhile pointing out to people. Something like books here, it helps you, or you can point out to other people how they can find different books to read. If you need surveys, SurveyMonkey will help you. And Emote it if you want to create presentations and get those out there. Really simple, quick, easy to do. If you want to create training videos to get them out there for people, or guiding resources, things like BB Flashback Express will do exactly that for you. None of this is purchased. It's all simple, straightforward, and it lets you get out to more people. Use something like Tagxedo. We were used to Wordle for word clouds. Tagxedo is the next version of that, and we're getting into really interesting shapes that we can now use. There's one that I did for the Agatha Christie titles, and did it in the shape of a hand. And I thought that's a much more fun way of, instead of putting like the detective labels and stuff on. That looks fun and it's interesting. It tells a very good job. You've got things like Wall Wisher, which are just electronic pinboards that you can use with people. I use those on courses along. We're then starting to come right up to date with the new series of Doctors. For many people, that was their first introduction to a doctor, or first introduction to social media. What could that be? Probably something like Facebook. Forget the concept of friends. The worst thing about Facebook is this friends concept, because that's not what it is any longer. It's a professional network, or at least it can be a professional network if you want it to be. There are lots of libraries on Facebook. There are lots of organisations, universities that are on Facebook. It's a place to go. Go to where the conversations are. Facebook is the 3rd largest country in the world. Why wouldn't you want to go there and have conversations? Lots of different libraries involved. So it's the place, and it's one of the ways in which, if somebody said to me, find me a really good, innovative, interesting library, I'm going to go to Facebook, because that's where interesting, innovative libraries are doing stuff. And yes, you probably are doing lots of interesting, innovative stuff, but if I don't know where you are and you're not where I am, you might as well not be bothering, and it's going to be the same for everybody else. Companies are now finding that more people are going to their Facebook pages than they are to their websites. So it's just a natural progression. It's a movement on. So we've got things like Facebook, but not only Facebook, which is great for conferences. You've got things like LinkedIn for the professional element. You've got CILIP communities. You've got Quora, which is a new one for questions and answers. There are social networks for anything, for every subject that you might happen to be interested in. Answers, questions, you can go to these places. This is what we do as a profession. We ask, answer questions for people. There are other networks, Ning, Library 2.0. If you're into zombies, there are 3 different zombie networks that are out there. Including the very last one, which is kind of a weird one. If you really like zombies in a very personal way, there's the Zombie Passions dating website. Where I just looked at the front page. I did not want to go any further. Next one, the one that many people like, David Tennant, extroverted, gregarious, he's always out there. And I thought for that one, you want to be using things like QR codes. Your little smartphone takes the picture, it tells you what you need to know. It links you through to somewhere. These are an incredibly powerful thing to use, because whatever you're doing in your library, if there's something you want to explain to somebody, put it into a YouTube video and then put it into a QR code, so that people with their smartphones click, bang, they can see your explanation of what it is that you're talking about. If you haven't really seen QR codes, you'll see them an awful lot more in the future. New arrivals. You'll see somebody, the daring librarian in the States, actually did a QR treasure hunt, which was quite fun. You click, you get the next clue, and on you would go. People are starting to use QR codes at conferences, so you can just click with your smartphone and add that person's contact details directly to your own database on your smartphone. We're seeing the use of QR codes in books around the world in 80 days. Lots of QR codes there you can click and you can find out about that particular place that's being referred to. We've then got The Last Doctor, the most recent one. Youthful, exciting, sharp, interesting, not quite sure where he's coming from, going to yet. And for me, the obvious answer there would be something like Twitter. Is there anybody here who's not on Twitter? No, I'll ask it the other way around, just to not embarrass. Who is on Twitter? Oh, that's fantastic. Lots and lots of people. that's just like rocketing up all of the time. I did see a resource last night that said 48% of companies are banning their users, their staff, from Twitter, which is an insanity as far as I'm concerned, because it's the place that I go. So we've got all of the resources there. I go to Twitter to find libraries and librarians that are doing interesting, useful stuff. That's the best way that I found of getting out there. Go and look at accounts like that to see what's happening. Loads of places, even Sutton Mobile Library is doing one. You can add Twitter feeds to your blogs. If you don't like Twitter, there's other resources that are out there. You need to be involved in all of this stuff because change is coming to search. Search is becoming more social. What we're now looking for, and will be in the next 3 or 4 years, the way in which we get results is going to be based more on thought leaders than it is on websites. You need to be thought leaders. You need to be using and utilising every single one of these resources to get out there as much as you can do. Because this is the kind of stuff that's happening. This is 1 minute's worth of data. Half a million comments on Facebook. 1 million videos watched on YouTube. 62,000 tweets on Twitter. Those are the places that we need to be. That's where the conversation is now taking place. So those are my 11 resources. What I wanted to try to do, just to finish off, and do it reasonably quickly, I've tried to set up a connection with another expert that I know, and I really wanted to just have a couple of minutes of their time for them to really sort of try to hammer home the point that I want to make. Now, they are quite a long way away, so if you'll just bear with me, I hope the technology is actually going to do what it should do, and I will need to sit down to do this, to sort of like have the webcam thing. Now, I've set up a link with this and I want to really bring him into the conversation because he knows all about this stuff. He can give us a unique perception into the past, present, and future. Yeah. So you know about social media and roles in libraries, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And communications?
Yep. And this?
I've got a collection of social media resources and I thought I'd run through them one after another, starting with home or start pages, bookmarking, social networks, Twitter, hundreds of them. When I've done that, I'll go through the book of analysis and see how you...
Are you going to the whole thing?
Well, you're not going anywhere, are you?
I'm a time traveller. Or I'm stuck in 1969.
We're stuck. What if Space and Timey promised me? Now I've got a job in a shop. I've got to support him.
A library would have been better?
Quite possibly.
Or are they in that bad shape in 69 as we are now?
Afraid so.
Anyway, social media. You use, what, 20 different resources, don't you?
38.
And they're mainly used to save you time. Can you explain to the delegates how the Times social media thing works?
Yeah. People don't understand time. It's not what you think it is.
What is it?
Complicated.
How complicated?
Very complicated.
Well, yeah, I can appreciate that, but can you just try and give a fairly clear technical explanation that would help the delegates?
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
That's exactly what I thought. It's really hard to try and describe, isn't it?
Got away from me,
But social media, it's about talking and communication.
Right, honey.
Yeah, you hear me, or my thoughts, my intents.
Well, I might hear you exactly, but I know everything you're going to say.
So, social media, is it a waste of time or a sensible development?
Look to your left.
So, it's something that's worth considering then. It'll help us do our jobs better, more effectively. We're going to be able to use it to reach wider communities. And if we're able to put together a report for you out of this conference, could you give us your opinion on how well we're doing so far?
I've got a copy of the finished transcripts on my overview.
But, you've done the workshop, yeah?
I told you I'm a time traveller. We're going in the future.
Via SlideShare or Google Docs? Which resource should we use?
Yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
So, does it matter which resource we're using for creating this stuff? Is the tool
What
important?
matters is we can communicate. We've got big problems now.
I agree. There's hundreds of social media apps that are out there. Should we know what we want immediately or only when we see them?
Only when you see them.
So how fast are these apps moving? Can we ignore them? Can we think about them next year? Any advice?
Don't blink. Don't blink. Blink before dead. They are fast. faster than you can believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck. And that's it, I'm afraid. There's no more.
Oh, well, I'll leave it with him then. If you want to get out of the TARDIS, if you want to get out to people, you should be using all of those resources. That's where you need to be. Go to where the conversations are. You are thought leaders. You are powerful people. And if you don't believe me, believe him. Thank you very much.